Increasing my strength when I remember myself. Life can be hard, but it's what we do. Take it to the top. Yeah. Take it to the top. Yeah.
Two souls colliding. We shared the pieces of ourselves. It's perfect timing now. We fueled the flames, but we're still learning to trust, learning to trust. It's never enough, never enough. Burning me up, burning me up. Don't fight the fire. Too much, too fast, will burn us out. We walk the wire, love. Don't make me read your mind, I know it. Learning to trust, learning to trust. It's never enough, never enough. Burning me up, burning me up. I won't fall when I'm picking you up. With my hand, I will be strong enough. Our love is stronger, and I'll be here. My lead, now we're taking the jump. My pride, cause I know you're the one. Our love is stronger. Baby, I know that it's stronger than yesterday. That it's stronger than yesterday. Two sparks igniting. We left some space for us to breathe. My head is quiet now. I can rest in peace, cause you are more than enough, more than enough. Feeling the rush, feeling the rush. Burning in love, burning in love. Two souls united. This roaring blaze is soaring free. If you ever get tired, love, I'll sing you gently to sleep, cause you're still more than enough, more than enough. Feeling the rush, feeling the rush. Burning in love, burning in love. I won't fall when I'm picking you lay you down, we're taking the jump. My pride, cause I know you're the one. Our love is stronger. Baby, I know that it's stronger than yesterday.
From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I am here to stay. Destiny will overcome, no, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise. From the darkness to the light, I feel alive. I'm a fire burning bright, I'll never die. Like a phoenix in the night, I will survive. Oh, I will survive. I'm a fire burning bright, I'll never die. Like a phoenix in the night, I will survive. Oh, I will survive. Like a phoenix in the night, I will survive. Oh, I will survive. Oh, I will survive. All the pain, all the hurt, all the lessons I have learned, I am stronger now. I won't let me down. Oh, my enemies will think they won, but I'm here to stay. Destiny will overcome, no, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise. From the darkness to the light, I feel alive.
Dude, it's all good. I feel refreshed, man. You know, water breaks are so necessary.
How about you give us an introduction and tell us what we have to look forward to today?
Juice, if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
A banana?
All right, so Douglas, if you could relate yourself or your project, whichever one you want to go with, to a fruit, which fruit would it be and why?
Okay, I'll go with the Eagleverse and banana.
Why a banana, bro?
Because I just every time I speak with H1, it feels like I'm feeling one more piece of that banana, and it keeps getting better and better.
That sounds so
that
wrong.
Project is awesome. So every time you think you know it, you know everything about it, it just surprises you.
You're the kind of guy. You're the kind of guy that if you were sat in the same room, you'd be eating a banana and maintaining aggressive eye contact. That's the kind of
forcing the entire thing into his mouth at once.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we'll focus on this week is making sure that you stretch.
I don't know. I reckon a coconut, a green one.
A green coconut. Okay, we've had coconut before, but not a green one. Why?
I don't know. You got to go through the hard stuff before you can get to the good stuff. So
yeah, thanks for asking. I think I would say probably a mango is like a fruit that you think is like pretty good, but when you actually bite into it, you're like, oh, this is delicious and amazing. Because like I'm all about trying to make things fun, make things enjoyable, and maybe a little bit surprising. Like, you know, your own mentality can make such a big difference in your life, your positivity and stuff. And I really, really enjoy being in spaces with all the people here, the other spaces that I've been in, and learning from everybody. So I get really excited, and I hope other people do too.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My camera's off. Why is my camera off? Excuse me. There. Oh, I'm over here. I'm over on that side. Welcome, everybody, to the Crypto Lamb Show. I'm just going to unmute myself so we can have Priest here. There we go. Hello, Priest. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. I was actually just singing the Hamilton soundtrack to my daughter as we're on our walk. So,
aw, that's so sweet and wholesome.
I know, I'm such a little butt, but I was actually singing You'll Be Back. I don't really know all the words to all the songs because, you know, I don't really enjoy all of the Hamilton stuff because, like, you know, it's not all for me. But The King, I love his songs because they're, like, so right up my alley comedy-wise, right? Like, they're intelligent, articulate, but they also have, like, a little bit of whimsy, but, you know, I don't know. I enjoy when people are pissants and they gotta get treated like a pissant and stuff. So, I don't know. I like that song.
Oh.
Holy shit, Ally's actually on video at like 7 a.m. probably.
I know.
Poor girl.
Ally, welcome to the show. I'm so sorry. It's obviously a lot earlier than I thought it would be for you. I haven't put your camera on the stream yet. I was waiting for you to tell me when you were ready.
No worries. Let me make sure that my other light is on because it is still dark here in Washington. I live in like this under a tree basically, so it's really, really dark. So let me turn on that other light.
Yeah, no dramas. You tell me when you're ready. So yeah, basically we always stream at 14:30 UTC, and I don't know, it's kind of difficult sometimes to remember, you know, that people in other parts of the world are obviously, you know, at night or early in the morning. So I do apologize for that. Maybe it was my fault for not being too clear on that one. I do apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. I kind of run all over the place. And so I'm totally okay with that.
Well, I don't know if you got my message on Twitter, but I sent you a message saying that I had actually bought one of your NFTs to give away today. I minted one of your NFTs to give away on the show. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I just caught that when I got onto my laptop. My phone kind of blew up with all sorts of notifications from everything. But no, that's perfectly fine. I think that we are just about ready to go.
Awesome. So
everything look good? Sound good?
Yeah, looking good there. I love the background you got there. I love the. Is that a painting on canvas?
Jason?
It's multimedia.
and multimedia piece. It's
Oh.
actually his prized possession, well, ours, but
Oh, so Jason's with you there now, is he?
yes,
Oh.
we are together.
Fantastic. Hello, Jason, if you can hear me okay. And no, we were just looking through the JPEG store. Is it the JPEG store? Am I getting the name right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was looking at the Jason, I'm sorry if I'm not saying your second name right, Matthias Fine Art there, and I was just loving some of the works that you've done there. Absolutely. Both of you, absolutely talented people.
He collected this one from
Gabriel Collazo.
So we collect and we create kind of thing. So we're kind of running out of room of walls to put things on, but we still keep collecting. So thank goodness we have NFTs.
Right? Yeah.
I have a question. How do you and Jason balance both being creatives within your relationship? Like, my wife and I are both economics majors from our backgrounds, right? So, like, we actually don't have any issues arguing with money or building value in things. But like, I find it very interesting when creative people are together to find out how like their creative balance can because I understand that like creative people can run like hot almost, right? Like they're so tied to their emotions, it can be very difficult to have like constructive conversations at times. And like we've seen people who are like in major relationships, like I hate to say it's tabloid wise, but like I think actors are artists too. I think they use their body as their canvas. So I think that we see like a lot of those people have like tumultuous relationships. So like, how do you guys kind of balance that?
Well, gosh, we really need to invest in one of those sumo wrestler outfits so we can like duke it out whenever we want to. But no, it's actually really not that bad. Jason's creative point, like, he has some ideas here and there, but he's also still a business person first and foremost. So his ideas are a little bit more slow to mature, I guess. He comes up with an idea and he likes to, be more methodical, I guess, with how he creates things. So like how we met was actually through an Instagram interview meeting because I liked one of his works that he had done with another model and followed him. And sure enough, the stars aligned. We followed each other back. How romantic. And he saw, my modeling portfolio and thought, I'd be a good fit for one of his ideas. And so he likes to interview his models to ensure like, one, photography, you can't be too careful as a man. A woman can say anything, and then at the same time, you just want to make sure that it fits the story. So we had that interview, and unfortunately, I didn't make the cut for that photo shoot. I didn't find out about that really, or it didn't click until like a year later. But I somehow obtained the role of girlfriend, and I think we do pretty well. I like to be more of a spur of the moment kind of creative person, but I think as of lately, a lot of our photo shoot endeavors have been a little bit put on hold, just running other business things and other things that we're passionate about. So for example, Jason also has a course called The Art of Selling Art, where he teaches other artists essentially of any form, to be able to sell their work essentially, because artists sometimes are told by friends and family, you should sell your work, it looks amazing. And then when it comes to the point of selling work, an artist can be very attached to their work, or just, I don't want to say exactly clueless, but kind of can be unaware as to how to go about things in the form and manner of business. So sometimes they're screwed over, someone else takes their work for the work, galleries, and tons of other factors kind of go into play for that. So he actually dived into the conversation of NFTs yesterday with his Art of Selling Art launch. And I think he's supposed to be having another one tomorrow, actually. So we kind of tag team who gets the desk whichever day, because we have a 1-bedroom loft and he's got the nice desk and I have a love sack.
That's okay
So
though. That's kind of awesome. It's really good to see people who are in their relationship have that kind of balance, right? And like, I find it really interesting that like you're the more, because I knew you from our last conversation when you came on from Women in Crypto, right? So I knew you were like this ball of energy. So I just wasn't sure if like you personally were like, nah, I just like take my energy and like just throw it into another ball of energy, and we just have like this massive bouncy ball of energy. So, or if it like you find someone more methodical than yourself, right? Like, so it makes sense that like Jason kind of balances you out. So I just find that interesting when we have like these conversations with people who end up working in similar industries, how they can be totally different. You know, my wife and I, like I said, we have the same educational background, but we talk about things and we look at each other like they have, the other person has six heads, because they don't understand exactly what we mean using like vernacular from, you know, the industry we studied. So it's just like, you know, it's like I like the dichotomy of people working within the same space, but also having completely different skills and industries. You said you guys are working on a couple other projects. What else do you have going on?
Well, for me, I've got my Cardano Women, and that's been like taking over majority of my time and attention when I'm not actually working at JPEG Store. Because fun fact, I actually got hired to be head of creator discovery, and I kind of like work more with one-on-one artists and helping them out, whether to navigate where to start, how to keep going, or just touch base on their work. Because JPEG Store actually has quite a few things in store for. At the moment, they have single minting asset capabilities, and they look forward to being able to do projects as well. So that's supposed to probably come out next month, hopefully. So we do both projects and individual artists, and of course, we are a secondary market, but we kind of want to be more of like a one-stop shop, because we do understand like NFT space, Web3 is still the wild, wild west. So if you trust one entity, it makes sense to try to like help them along the way through everything else in their journey. So we have that. And then with Cardano Women, when I'm not on the 9 to 5 clock, I've been working on renovating our Discord, working on our website, because I do understand, like, when we talk about Discord, obviously everyone's not a fan entirely, because either they don't know how to navigate it, there's scams, and it's just kind of not the right place sometimes to host business. And so wanting it to be something of easier access, I've been working on updating the website. It's not quite done yet, still under construction, for the things that I'd like to release. But the tools that I have in the Discord for at the moment that I look forward to releasing on our website is a one-stop like place to see where all women stake operators are, because I went through and did a lot of research trying to find them, and so far I could only collectively find a list of like 30. And so I have it on a Excel spreadsheet, and I look forward to putting it onto just a page where people can kind of go through. Not that I want to be segregating, you know, any groups, but I think that when a woman comes into this space, it helps to be able to notice that there are women in this space. So if you have any questions about being a stake pool operator, these are your qualified resources that you can reach out to, who you can support, and just generally feel safe in regard to like a sisterhood. Because when I first came into the space, you know, by all means, big, huge shout out to all of the male allies who have helped me out along the way with, you know, Jason being my partner. He's also the one who got me into the space. But along the way, like, if Jason's not available, or if he can't exactly explain things that are comprehensible to me, I have resources on Twitter, on Discord, and things. And so I want to be able to continue sharing that knowledge that I have to help other people. And I think it's different. Like, for example, with JPEG Store, there was the other day a project on our Launchpad cohort thing. They applied, and we're helping them out with their mint and everything. And it's a woman-led project. And she's been working mostly with my teammate, which, he does an amazing job helping projects and everything, and very well involved in the ecosystem. So no complaints there. But when it came to the day before minting, she asked if we could do a Twitter space, and I was like, absolutely. What time, where, all these kind of things. We were working out and hashtagging those kind of details, and unfortunately, he was unavailable for what time that she was looking for. And I said, I could do it. I love running Twitter spaces. It's kind of what I do every day. And so I did that, and she was able to come back and say, for her, it was nerve-wracking because she hadn't been doing that many Twitter spaces, but at the same time, it was something that she was able to feel safe and comfortable and laid back to just talk about herself, versus, I think in some spaces, some men can be a little overpowering, and I mean, it is a male-dominated space, so it just makes sense that sometimes they can take over the show or ask questions, and a woman would feel either inadequate, not, apt to answer any questions, or just uncomfortable just simply to answer some things here and there, because it's
For sure. No, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but it seems like you're, trying to find your words. And I actually coming in because my wife actually had a similar conversation with me about that. And she was, because I was talking about how you were coming on, and she's like, oh, she was from the crypto show. I got to make sure the women, and I need to make sure I listen to that. And, talking about how your personality came through a little bit through the women in crypto space, but I felt like you were probably a little more reserved than I think you probably are. And I think that maybe it's us, getting more comfortable, trying to, make sure we're comfortable here too, right? That was one of our first shows, Andy. We were in there for a week. But my wife was trying to get at with that point was that women, when they get together, can be either really sisterhood or they actually can be more competitive than men, especially in a male dominated field. And I don't have that experience, right? Because I'm a dude. I played sports forever. I'm friends with all dudes, right? All my friends that were female were playing sports besides my wife. So I've never really had what I would say is an opening to that level of what that experience is. Right now I have a daughter. I kind of want to make sure that I personally understand what the possibilities would possibly be for her. So I can kind of prepare myself for that, because I can't, control what's going to happen to her. And so with your stuff coming together, right? Your JPEG store, right? You're doing that 9 to 5, and you're helping these other people. Do you think that you're doing that in a altruistic way? Do you think it's actually moderately selfish in the way that you want to feel good about what you're doing, and that makes you feel good? And I kind of like to ask that when people do altruistic things, is to be self-reflective on that. And is it because you really just want to help other people, or because it makes you feel good to help other people? I don't know. What do you think?
I would say both, because can't be wrong that I feel good when someone gives me compliment to say thank you for all that I've done, and it gives me reassurance that I am on the right path of what I'm doing, or in this space we talk a lot about imposter syndrome, and a lot of people either feel like they're not in the they question whether or not they're in the right space. And I think I even had this joke the other day. I mean, it kind of was true, but Jason and I were having a conversation, and I said, "Do you think JPEG Store hired the right person for the job?" I could also see some other people in the space doing a better job than me, or just have a better vernacular in conversation to other people about these things, because it is pretty in-depth techie conversation when one person wants to talk all things Cardano and those things. And I don't fully grasp all of those things yet, to be honest. I think a good portion of us individuals in this space are still learning as we go. But he was obviously my partner and didn't lie that he thinks that I'm a good fit for the job, because I do enjoy just helping people and sharing the knowledge. I'm not exactly the person that I would have expected to be a teacher. It's not something that I, as a kid would have been like, I want to do this when I grow up. But at the same time, like, I get to be surrounded by a community of people that I enjoy. And I think I thrive in that atmosphere versus what I was doing before crypto. Honestly, I was working, in retail, and I enjoyed, helping. I mean, I was working at a store called Brighton, and we would help women from a wide variety of demographic. Some women were coming in for their wedding jewelry, and you just don't realize sometimes that jewelry and that story or that moment that they have after stressing for the wedding dress, the whatever, behind the scenes, that moment that you share with them was valuable and would put them into tears. You'd have women who would come in picking up a bracelet for, breast cancer awareness month, and whether it was for themselves or for someone they knew or someone they lost, it was facing people in those different chapters. And it kind of correlates even now. Like, I'm meeting people, whether they are new to NFTs and they have no idea of what to do or how to function around in this space because it's a new technology. And then there's some people who have been around and just need to course correct on what they're doing, or just need a helping hand to succeed. Because, believe it or not, a quote retweet and a retweet can do massive things in this space for people, which is mind-blowing to think about, that small initiative or that little click of a button can do so much. So no, I think it's
You're
maybe
right, both.
But yeah,
You're right,
yeah.
both. And like it's interesting when you like start to ask the questions that like you get the people to kind of unwrap the onion a little bit, right? Like you talked about how you worked in retail. So let's actually, I have a question about that, how that would relate to crypto, right? So like retail itself is generally one of the highest stress customer service type jobs, because you're the front line of communication for a business that you may or may not have any input into, right? So would you be willing to share your favorite quote unquote Karen story?
Oh gosh, I had so many of those.
I knew you had to with working what you talked about. So I knew, once I heard that, I'm like, I know Andy's gonna have amazing things to say, but I want to hear your Karen story. So if you could do that while, and I'll pass it to Andy, let him talk, but I want to hear that. Thank you.
Oh no, absolutely. So I worked in a variety of fields. I worked at Victoria's Secret, where I was helping women, get fitted for a bra, whether it was their first, their millionth one, or whatever. I think it was always comical because in the area that I worked, I was either faced with, my boss is telling me, try to get the sale, it doesn't matter what. And then at the same time, a lot of the customers that would come my way were well off, that I would ask them, well, could I fit you for a bra today? And I've been told, no, that's okay. I'm getting my boobs redone, tomorrow or next week. So I don't need a bra anymore, and those kind of things. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just kind of like chopped liver on the side. Or being degraded for my knowledge of some things. So eventually I ended up working at a maternity store. And the amount of women, I mean, obviously I'm thin. I don't look like I've bared children, and I haven't, at least not to full term. But I would say that the training that my job gave me enough knowledge to be able to help people, whether I had experience or not. And a lot of the mom to be's would, question me. And in one specific manner, I remember one day, a woman blatantly just said, well, what do you know? You've never had children. And, it just looks like you just wouldn't know anything about this industry or how the clothes work. And I said, well, to be honest, I have been trained well, and I am the manager of this store. So I think I'm well enough qualified to help you out, whether I have the background experience or not. And to my surprise, it was actually one of my associates that overheard this conversation and came to my rescue, my aid, and she said, I will have you know, this is the skinniest fat person you will ever know, and she has the most experience in this job. So, it would behoove of you to respect her because she taught me everything that I know, and I fitted quite a few people, and she's also fitted me because, the dialogue was in the store that you didn't have to be pregnant to wear these clothes. You could wear them before, during, and after. And for my coworker or my employee, essentially, she was a bigger girl, so she found it more comfortable to wear this attire because in regular industry, she would have to, dig for hours for something that would end up not working, and it would be very, destructive on her mentality that she would sit for hours trying to fit onto pants or a bra or any of these things, and it would be very just disheartening. So having that experience in a maternity store, like, believe it or not, that was actually a booster to her self-esteem, that she was comfortable, she felt beautiful, and so she expressed that to the woman, and this mom of the mom to be was just like completely shocked that my associate would come to my aid and have my back, and at the same time shut her up, essentially. And so that was one of my favorite moments, I think, honestly.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And like, I can tell that you kind of touched on a couple things there that were like probably, really personal to you. And I'm not going to go down that road. But what I do want to know is what Andy has for you. And I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Of course, thank you.
I appreciate that, Priest. I was just going to say the same thing as you. You obviously speak with a lot of passion, and you speak with a lot from the heart, and I really appreciate that. And I, thank you for that, because one of the things that I really want to normalize in spaces like this is, we get a lot of guys that come on. A lot of the projects that we have on, they're all guys. And we did the Women in Crypto because we want to say to people, there is women out there, right? There's programmers, artists, and everything in between. And I think it's absolutely critical that we highlight that and normalize it. I wasn't unfortunately able to speak on the Women in Crypto show. I'm not sure if you remember or not, but Fizz and Priest took the lead on that for me. But now I've got an opportunity to sit and ask you the questions that I wanted to ask you. First off, absolutely loved the USAF as a kid. I love airplanes and everything to do with it, and obviously that's a part of your background. And looking at the About Me page and things like that on your site, you obviously kind of got more involved in crypto. I think it said October 2021. And then, of course, based on what Priest just said to you, you've had a lot of other things in between. So I'm just curious, why NFTs? What's kind of, because that's quite a serious path to go through. I go from a background of being a prison officer to working in crypto, and that's quite a leap. So, I can kind of understand, but just tell us a bit about your journey.
I would say it's funny, like any other person's story. You just come to this, conversation of, have you heard of NFT? It sounds like a Jehovah's Witness moment, when someone says, like, have you heard of NFTs or have you heard of Web3? And it's astonishing sometimes because, like, one, you don't know the technology background, or in my case, I was really, really annoyed at this conversation being held in my home without really, understanding. Like, I was working 11 to 7 every day in the retail world. My partner, is a full-time artist and has been for 10 years. So he works from home. He can go travel and take photos of landscapes and things. And so it was a very foreign world to me that when he would be on his phone on Clubhouse, just talking to these people and being animated about this conversation, because his dream at once upon a time was to be in stocks and be like one of those stockbroker people, essentially. And nobody really prepares you that when you go into the military, transitioning to civilian life, like some services have great programs to transition you to civilian life, but in others, it seems helpless. And I completely understand where he came from because he jokes that he's the most unemployable person around. And I find it hilarious, actually, because he wanted to work at JPEG Store, and here I am, I got hired. But he couldn't find a job. So he's talking in this thing that he enjoys, and I had no idea what was going on. And I was just like, this just doesn't make sense. Until Emily Ratajkowski had actually written an article, or had an article written about her, and I saw it on Facebook, why she was diving into NFTs. Because like in Hollywood, and for a number of categories, whether you're a musician or an actress or actor or any kind of creative, you create something, or you're a part of creating something, and you don't own it. A songwriter writes a song, she doesn't have the voice for it, so she gives it to someone and they sing it, and then that person who sings it, has it tied to a record label, and they don't have the ownership of that song, no matter how much they connect to it or not. And 10 years later, it comes around like, hey, can I own the song now? Like, I have all of these awards for singing it and performing it and doing these theatrics for this thing. It got tied with labels of a movie and all kind of stuff, and you don't have the ownership for it. So her reasoning to joining into the space was to buy back her image. And I thought it was something intriguing and interesting because as a child, I wanted to be in the modeling industry because I enjoyed being in front of the camera. I was that kid that when my mom would put up the phone or back in the day, just a camera quarter thing, because we didn't have phones at that time, I would immediately strike a pose because I thought it was just, my action moment for fame. And it was an interesting industry because I was told a number of things that, I should go into acting instead of modeling because I wasn't thin enough, or I wasn't tall enough, or I shouldn't go into acting because I talk too fast, and a number of things and criticisms that just really destroyed me, honestly. Like even talking to my friends that I was going to a modeling agency that was a school / industry thing, my friends were like, oh, not really friends, more like acquaintances. You're not famous, you're not doing this thing. And the thing is that it didn't relate in my brain that you didn't have to be on the tabloids to be a part of this industry, to be famous or anything. You can still be a model, you can still be an actor, but be in a different category, and it doesn't have to be to that, high esteemed caliber of things. So I thought it was interesting because I was freelance modeling, and then I met Jason, of course, along the way, and every time, I actually, even to this day, have had struggles as a model, like trying to get my pictures back because I spent my time, doing my hair, doing my makeup, driving, and even sometimes with the freelance modeling, I'm supplying my own resources of my own clothes, of my own gas, and flight tickets and things like that. Like, it's a lot of work, so you want to be, compensated for some of these things sometimes, like regardless if it's your hobby, you do look forward to being, paid out for this stuff. So then I decided that, why not give it a try? Because I didn't want to, at the time, the height of fame was this only, whatever site that shall be not be named. I didn't want to really go that route because I did want extra income to pay off debt, and why not try a second source of income to be comfortable and provide a life together? Because when you're partnered with someone, you want to build that life together with each other. And I just took a leap of faith and tried it, and I sold an NFT through Discord and in an auction house, and I was like, okay, that was a good dice roll. Why not try it again? So I tried it again a week later, and another sold, and then a third one sold. It was like, third one's the charm. Let's see what the rest of this industry has to offer. And it was still so early of a time that for me, Twitter back in the day had this rule that if you had 500 followers, you could then host a space. And I was like, I want to host a space so I can, have a platform where I can ask the questions and not have to play catch up and asking what is NFTs, what is this, what is that in these rooms, and not feel like the idiot, where I can be the leader and pace things along and with how you guys mentioned, I'm passionate with what I talk about or what I do, that I could stop the conversation and help someone in that time. I've helped people in spaces build a wallet or even buy an NFT or even set everything up, kind of thing. Stake pools, just a number of conversations. And it was going back a little bit, with it being such an early time, that there was only 5 women, it seemed like, in this space for Cardano. I would go into Ethereum rooms, and there was one specifically that I found very inspiring. It was a woman. She goes by the name Lori Grace, and she had a space that was 173 people, women and some men, but predominantly women in the space, just talking and overpowering the stage, just asking questions and giving praise to her. And I was like, that's amazing. That this new place has room for women and can also just be shared with excitement and variety of topics. With Cardano Movement, like mentioning earlier, we talk about some things that are hard to talk about. We talk about emotions and IRL, instances that have plagued us for the longest time, and what we can try to do about it even now to this day, and to celebrate the things that we've overcome along the way. So that's how Cardano Women actually started. I was inspired enough that I put it out into the atmosphere. I put a tweet out, said, my goal is to make it to 500 followers so I can host my own space. And it was also funny that Twitter decided to take that barrier to entry away as soon as I had hit 500 followers. And from there, it kind of just snowballed, and it's been an amazingly beautiful journey that I didn't expect. So thank you, COVID, and all of those stimulus checks, for helping me pay off my debt and getting me to a point where I felt comfortable enough in October to walk away from retail and 100% focus on something that I love. I not to say that I didn't love working in retail, but there was a lot of factors that also just made me feel more comfortable to transition into this entrepreneurship role, because in retail, I guess I'll explain that a little bit more. It's not a dying breed per se. It's just taking a different form,
It is. No, it's dying. You can say that. As a person who managed retail, you can say it's dying. And because it is, right? Like, you recognize that Web3 is going to be the future. And as you're experiencing the dying industry, you're like, yeah, I should get the fuck out of this. That's okay. You made a really good decision. You don't have to be polite. You can, it's cool.
I would say, it's just it is honestly taking a different form. This brick and mortar standpoint is not, it is dying. That part is dying. The first Mall of America closed. That was my most eye-opening moment, because I live here in Washington State, and that was something that I hadn't really realized, that the first Mall of America was here in Washington State, and it was sold and demolished and put up as instead a arena for hockey. So I was like, wow, if at any moment my store could close down and I could lose my job, I have no idea where to go, because the rest of the mall would also be closed. And look at my resume. What do I do then? What can I apply to any other field? Because I had also faced this trial before when I got out of the military. I was applying for the jobs that I had done in the military, and I was not qualified enough because I wasn't an officer. I didn't have A, B, or C qualifications in school, or, I had great on the job experience, and then I've tried applying for something as simple as working at Domino's. I mean, it's not simple, but for me, I was like, I could try to get money this way and fund my life and not be on the streets. And Domino's, for example, was honest enough to say, you're overqualified. We can't hire you because, what would you do? So reflecting on that moment in today's time was like, all my experience has been in retail. I've been a manager, but how do I correlate that into a desk job? What does that correlate to any other field of expertise? Because I still have to start at ground zero. And at the same time, with the climate of politics, for example, the mall that I was working at the time, just at the cusp of COVID, not exactly ending, but where things were opening back up, there were riots for a number of things. And my mall was actually hit as an alternative to this other complex that was happening in Seattle. I'm actually across the water in Bellevue. And the mall was destroyed. And it was the day before we were told that we were supposed to go back to work. And then my HR people and everything was just like, well, you can't go back to work. I mean, even though that my store wasn't hit particularly, they were concerned for my safety, and I really appreciate that as a human being, like seeing that, like if I was there, I could have been in that scenario. And I've even seen it. My mom works in retail or did, and she's experienced, those massive shooting things that you see on the news. She was lucky and fortunate that she wasn't hurt or anything, at least not physically, but she does have a trauma that, she hears a noise, she promptly kind of like cowers down or tries to find safety. And it's unfortunate that that's how it is. I mean, back in the 90s, I as a kid was brought to my mom's work to go hang out, and sometimes I would help behind the store, and I was not on payroll, unfortunately, but it was safe. It was a place where kids can go and play, and not have to worry about those things. So I would have that fear that I would tell my partner that today might be the day that there would be a riot. And if anything happens, I don't know what would happen. And so he would tell me that he would drive me to work. If I could get out of the mall, do not run to my car. Run far, far away from the mall, someplace else, if possible. And then he would pick me up, or we would, if he's not available, then I would take an Uber home or something like that. But that was the reality check I needed to transition into Web3. Now I'm safe in my home and talking to people on the internet.
Go for it, Andy. What I had to say is that it's going to be like heart wrenching. So you go for it, brother.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, the world that we live in right now, you kind of raise some very interesting, points. There is a lot of aspects to, whether you're working in retail like yourself or working in education even, and, a few other things like that. That is the reality that we have in this world right now, not just in the United States. I know a lot of people give the United States a lot of flack for a lot of things, but it's not just the United States, whether people want to realize that or not, because it isn't. And it's very unfortunate that we have to speak like this, because I'm pretty sure, like you were saying, as a kid, I never had to think like that, and I'm pretty sure my parents didn't, or, my grandparents, it just wasn't that way. Of course there was things, right? But this is a very different generation. And there's one thing I know about is physical security, because of my, previous work and things like that. It's something I'm very good at. And I find it very sad that I have to think like that. And I have to think for my fiance or her daughter and things like that in those situations. It's absolutely terrible. And it's something that everybody should take absolutely seriously. but also on the note that retail is absolutely dying. It is, and I think everybody is going to be, considering the way the world is going, you're going to be very grateful for that, because these things can't happen to you in virtual malls, thankfully. So, I'm happy that you've been able to move away from that and that you are safe in your home doing what you enjoy and clearly have a lot of passion about. Priest, let me pass to you and say what you wanted to say before I move on. So,
no, you're good. One of the things I thought about it during your moment, and there's definitely something that could be, I could share that I'm just going to choose not to at this moment. But what I am going to say is that I actually really enjoy when our guests come on and they start actually having a conversation with us, and we're not just talking about whatever the project is, because we kind of get to understand more about you as a person. And I kind of really find it interesting that you create a safe space for people within Web3 because of your last work environment. You didn't feel like it was a safe space for you, and you want to help other people have that. And I'm not sure if you intentionally know that, or if you weren't sure, or if I'm just kind of connecting dots that don't need to be connected. But I kind of see that Web3 is an opportunity for people to be what they want in the real world, because it's the future. Now, not that the Web3 is not the real world, because it really is, but I mean the IRL conversations you have with your neighbor, right? My neighbor across the street, I love Ed. Ed's a great dude. Ed can't grow grass in his lawn for shit. But we get to have a conversation about that, right? And we get to do that. But in Web3, we are now looking at what the future is going to be for the people who come after us, right? We get to be the ones to set these standards for the people who come after us. And I think that that's part of the reason why so many people who are empathetic and people who have had bad experiences want to be, and not maybe want to be, but end up being leaders in this kind of space, is because they want it to be better for the people that are going to come after us, right? If you've worked in retail, you understand the level of shit sandwich that happens on a daily basis to those people, and you never want to deal with that again, right? But that you're going to have these kind of conversations with people in your family once they try to actually figure out what crypto is, right? I made a statement last night on a space that my mom is an idiot, and I love my mother, I do, but my mom is an idiot on the internet. She cannot have a debit card because she gives away hundreds of dollars to people for no reasons, buys dumb shit she shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Doesn't understand the levels of why is this too good to be true? You know what I mean? Whereas she's used to getting a Victoria's Secret catalog and calling in the phone number and be oh, I want order number, piece number XY47, whatever. And then the person on the phone sells her some other shit and she thinks she got a deal, and she didn't. But my mom's not ready for Web3. She's not. But the fact that people like you are trying to make spaces available for people to feel okay to not be knowledgeable and be okay sharing that vulnerability with people and not feel like they're going to be preyed upon is the kind of thing that I like to see. And one of the reasons why I was really excited to have you back is because, I lurk on the Women in Crypto Cardano Discord. I'm in there. I don't post all the time because I think it's more fun to just read stuff and keep up. But when we have these conversations and you get to tell us more about you and we get to figure that part out, I enjoy the background, connect the dots, and I just want to say thank you for doing that, because we try to do that for a multitude of people and have these kind of comfortable conversations and try to let people know what's out there and that kind of stuff. But realistically, for me, it's more about knowing that there are people in other spaces and other chains that I can feel comfortable sending people to, so that when somebody I know has a question on Cardano, I know that I could send them to you and they would actually get helpful information and not be well, they'll probably get helpful information, but probably a little bit of stuff that might be profitable for the person I'm sending them to, because they always worry about their bags kind of a deal. And I appreciate that. It's really difficult to have a global local network of people you can trust, right? Everyone knows what place to go get their their tire changed at locally, but no one knows where to send somebody to set up their wallet for Cardano. I'll be honest, I tried to help Andy this morning try to figure out how to get one of your NFTs, and I was like, dude, I don't have any of those wallets. I'm so sorry. I'm 35. I'm bald. I do not know how to. I don't know how to do that, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I wasn't awake earlier to help with that.
Don't apologize. It's just different time zones. I managed to work it out in the end. What I'm going to do just quickly, because I don't want to cut you off. We're having a really awesome conversation, and I want to keep that going. But if you could indulge me and tell me a little bit more about the project. Blue is a Mood, because it's an NFT project of yours that I really like, and it's something that's Like, I can't describe it from my perspective. I think we need to hear it from your perspective. What does blue is a mood mean to you? And where did it come
That
from?
is so well danced around. I just want to let everybody know before she answers. That is professionalism right there. I just want to point that out. She's laughing because she understands. That was professionalism. Thank you. You can continue.
Of course. No, absolutely. It was definitely a professional way as a gentleman. You know, this collection, to be honest, is labeled as not safe for work because it does have, you know, well, over 18 things. Well, I mean, it's not really over 18 things. Everyone has tits or whatnot. And I can honestly, safely say that as a woman to try to make you guys feel a little bit comfortable. But if we're being honest, blues and mood means a lot to me because when, you know, as we're reflecting on my background, working in the retail standpoint, for me, the job that I had picked at the time was very conservative. So I wasn't able to dye my hair. I wasn't able to. Actually, I have a septum piercing and it's flipped up. And I was told, you know, to have it flipped up. My tattoo couldn't show. Very, very conservative. And I completely respected that because the background of the business and actually knowing the owner and talking to him, I understand why he has those reservations. But for me, like, I like to express myself with meaning of things. So, like, my tattoo has meaning for me. My septum piercing is a cultural thing, actually. And, you know, thankfully, because of COVID, I could have my mask on and I could have it flipped down or just have my jewelry there comfortably to represent myself without actually having to break any rules. So when I left my job in October, I rejoiced in freedom. I rejoiced in being able to express myself in a multitude of avenues. I like to say that I'm, or at least label myself as a multifaceted woman. I try to have a jack of all trades, but I'm not an expert in any specific one thing. And in the journey that I've had in my life, you know, as I kind of hinted at along the way in the modeling industry, I was told I was not tall enough. I was not fat enough. I was not thin enough. And that even translated in my high school career in my real world, you know, standpoint was I was picked on because my hair was curly. Or even at one point in middle school, my stepfather buzz cut my head. And so I was called anorexic, bulimic. I was, you know, I had the popular girls, I actually heard them, you know, they didn't say it quietly enough. They were like, you know, she's only going to get in because she has leukemia or, you know, so many things that was very hurtful. And any of those things can really deter a person from, you know, a multitude of things, you know, you just not want to be in front of a camera, just be so closed off and reserved, or other, you know, unfortunate events of things. And so expressing myself that I wanted to have the freedom to change my hair color just to express fashion wise was fun. And so I dyed my hair. Well, actually, I went bleach blonde because you got to go blonde once in your life. And then I wanted to go blue because I really enjoyed seeing something on Instagram, and I thought, you know, I'll try it, see how it looks. And I really, really enjoyed that look. Honestly, it was very expressive. And at the moment, I'm currently brown and recovering from some hair damage, but I just really enjoyed being me. And so expressing that along the way of my journey in crypto, for example, I was in Florida and we traveled around in Florida, and then COVID happened. Well, my partner got COVID and then I got COVID, but I had no symptoms. So we had to figure out how to travel around between renting a car and staying in our car for shelter. And then when it was safe, we could stop at Airbnbs and hotels and things. along the way that we actually really bonded capturing images of what made me feel beautiful. And I think that was one of the other things that got me into modeling, because in front of the camera, a picture is taken and then you look at it and you're like, wow, is that really me? And it was actually through Jason, my partner, that I had my first nude photo shoot. I had, for the longest time, said no to that offer for any other job, whether it was because the gentleman seemed sleazy or just I didn't feel comfortable enough. Or honestly, I didn't have the self-esteem to do that kind of thing. And so I would do boudoir and swimsuits, which a lot of people would be like, well, what's the difference? A swimsuit is a bra, you just wear it out in public. But when you are bare and naked in front of someone, you are, and under light, I mean, you could do it in the dark too, but no one would see you. In the light, you are vulnerable to the utmost extreme. You're showing everything, that whether you shaved that day or just whatever body things you have. And I still have, reservations about my own body. Would I want to be a little bit, thicker or taller still? Absolutely. But I think it's empowering for others to just go for it. Try it, and you'll be actually really surprised. I think I even partnered with another woman in this space that she actually has a Project Venus coming up, and she drew me, and I was elated that she drew an image of me bare and naked, but the way that she did it was in the form of just lines. And I was like, when you take everything away, my makeup, my hair, and whatever routine, and put it out in just lines, a format that, wow, I am a beautiful woman. And I don't have to compare myself to another woman, or anything, because I mean, that is what we do, whether we know it or not. Industry, Hollywood teaches us how to look, or indirectly, sometimes can be that way, or we just take it on that, well, if that's how they look, I should look that way as well, get lip fillers and a number of other things. But it was also just Blue as a Moon, a partnership, collaboration piece between Jason and myself. One, taking him out of his normal element, because he normally takes portrait images, not in that fashion. He's got his Aria collection that has a story and music piece to it, and a number of other factors that fit into that category. And he has landscape. So I challenged him a little bit to do something different, something that I enjoyed, and being able to be seen through his eyes as well. So yeah, I think that kind of covers a lot of bases.
So would you say that bluism? I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Thank you for sharing. Amazing. I apologize, but would you say bluism mood is the expression of you coming out of the blues and out of that like depression, and like you're opening up, or was there less the name? Am I just kind of like reading into it?
No, I think that actually fits very well. Like Mondays, you're blue, and then Fridays you're pretty happy and things. But this was a journey taken over a week's drive from Florida to Seattle, and then some pieces, also in other places, mostly in Arizona with a friend of mine. And it was actually quite hilarious, because my friend in Arizona, she has been taking my boudoir pictures for years. She first came into like the area, and I was her first model that she partnered with at the time, and she and I have been friends ever since. So he got to see how she and I work, and at the same time teach her different framing ways of how he shoots, lighting, and the more technical things. And he got to see how comfortable I am with her, a woman to woman. Like, she was able to, I don't know, like, when I'm with her, I feel like there are no walls when it comes to the studio set. Like, she and I have talked about a number of even more personal things, but from a woman to woman, like, I mean, this kind of goes into the space, right? I can tell a woman about NFTs and then she'll feel a little bit more comfortable versus hearing it from another man. We break down some of those barriers. And granted, Jason is my partner, so he has seen me at my most beautiful and my most unattractive moments in the morning, or whatever, moments in the day. So it was just a range of dynamic. I think that was really fun, but at the same time expressing me.
So obviously, working with a female photographer, you can obviously be yourself. You can probably be a lot more comfortable with another woman as well, doing those kind of shoots potentially. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the collection that we're talking about, and I'm kind of just going to segue onto something just quickly. I mentioned that we were going to be giving away an NFT, and it's an NFT from that collection. Assuming that you're happy with me doing that, I don't want to do it if you don't want me doing that, but. So I bought one of your NFTs this morning from the Blues the Mood collection, and I've put a link. I'm going to put the links everywhere for Jason's fine art on jpeg.store, so people can go ahead and check those out. I can't show them on the stream for obvious reasons, but mainly, actually, I could show them on Twitch, but because we stream to YouTube as well, that would be the issue. They would take it off on YouTube because they're very overzealous with that, even though it's in art. So this is one of the. We'll break down those barriers one day, but I'm going to start the giveaway just now. It's going to take 30 minutes, and if you want to be able to win this amazing NFT, you'll need to type !raffle in chat when it starts. So if people want to send out their tweets, Priest, Ali as well, if you wanted to send out a tweet to let people know, I'm going to start the giveaway right now. It's going to be open for 30 minutes. And there we go.
Thank you. Give me a few moments.
So that is now live. So again, I have put on Twitter which NFT it is. You can go over to my profile and check that out if you want to win that. So I mean, just carrying on from that a little bit, Ali, if it's okay. I mean, what I was saying, when you're working with another female, obviously you can be yourself. You're going to be a little bit more relaxed. Now, the Blues and Mood as a collection is an incredibly intricate and intimate set, really, isn't it? So, I mean, what sort of challenges do you think? I mean, Jason, if you're there and listening, if you want to maybe kind of jump in as well, if you have anything to add to this, like, what sort of challenges do you as a couple have when you're doing something? Because you're essentially giving away something as an NFT. People can own a piece of your intimate relationship almost, if you really want to kind of go that deep into it. Like, I mean, what was the biggest challenges for you guys in making that decision to do that?
To be honest, when going back into how we work together, it can be difficult because the way he's more methodical in how he shoots, and usually he has a notebook where he draws out what he wants sometimes in regards to, like, in the portrait work, what he wants to do. And then he'll interview a model, and if the model fits the story, then carry on to the photo shoot, and he'll shoot no more nor less than that. And sometimes that can take an hour, sometimes that can take half a day, and usually, for example, in this collection of 151 images, 20 pictures, multiplied to 151 for additions and things, but getting those 20 images was exactly that. There was probably maybe a few more, no more than 90 pictures, and then filtering through when you're going through to see, does that one blurry? Is that one actually a good pose? Or um, a number of things when you're filtering through the uh, roll there, that he selected 20. And thankfully he actually sat there with me to go through that 20, because he wanted me to feel comfortable as well with what images we were putting out. What did I like? And sometimes a photographer model don't get that kind of communication. Sometimes the photo shoot is set, the model comes with her clothes, or there's an art director there that styles the woman to look a certain way. The photographer takes these pictures. Sometimes they show like, this is what it looks behind the camera. Maybe can we tweak this and tweak that, and then you get the reward of having the successful image that you want. And then still at the end of the day, you don't get that whole film. You only get what's edited, and then see maybe like one or two that actually gets published, if it is even published into a magazine or whatever platform. That I actually don't follow Jason on social media, because I personally don't like seeing what he engages with. The internet tells all, and it's nothing wrong with what he engages with. But as still a human, I have my own triggers from other things, past relationships and whatnot, that I feel it more comfortable that I support him in real life as we do. And if I see something in person, then we share that, dialogue. But other than that, I don't follow to see what he likes. I don't follow to engage with any of that. So I have in my folder on Instagram an inspo board, for example, of what I like to shoot, or even images that I think would be interesting to try. And so when we compare inspo boards, complete opposites. So, he has the story, he has as of lately, he's been creating more like fantasy pieces. We have a collection called Guardians that was born from an idea that he had years ago, and now that he's in the NFT space, he's able to actually pursue that. And that's actually been his journey, going into NFTs. He's able to be more creative versus being in the shoe of work of portraits and landscapes, that he can also wedge in that fantasy aspect. So challenging him to an idea of images that I enjoyed was a little difficult, because I was like, well, can we try like this angle, or can we try this crop of an image? And like I said, at one point when the COVID stuff was good and free, we spent the night over at my friend's, who's also a photographer. She does really well in doing boudoir photography. She started off in weddings, she started off doing family portraits, and then eventually you make your way into boudoir stuff. At least women do, because they want to feel empowered and they want to help other women feel comfortable and empowered. And I've seen it in many times where, like I said earlier, you're working with a photographer and he says, can you go nude? And I was like, well, you seem kind of sleazy, so I don't think I really want to. And I don't want to be portrayed in any way. I don't want to, if you're alone on a photo shoot, you don't have a escort or anything like that, it makes sense. I don't want to do that image, or I don't want to do that kind of thing. But with her, she's helped me feel comfortable to do like bend over in this way. And I never would have thought to do that in an image. And I'm like, okay, wow, that actually turned out rather stunning and in an art form in itself. And at the same time, personally, like, okay, like I do look good from that angle. It's been a lot of learning. You can take a selfie and your angle that way, but you're trusting a photographer to take angles of you that you like and angles that they like. So it's just been a little bit of that. And like I said earlier, like he's can be more on the technical side, where he has his lighting, he has his reflector, he has those things. And granted, he only has one lens because he likes to challenge himself to capture an image as best as possible from that one lens. He doesn't have a wide angle or anything like that. And granted, he does want a wide angle sometimes too, because it's frustrating. He wants a certain image and he knows that this lens can do it, but he challenges himself in that aspect. So challenging him in this field was, let's try boudoir, let's try this. And I think it was a beautiful collection to have at that. And then releasing it as an NFT was one that it's something that's not 100% in the space. I'm sure that there's images like that on OpenSea, but on Cardano, it's very few and far in between. So it's something new to the art standpoint, but at the same time, something that we enjoy and what we want to convey as a message in the space as a couple and as business partners, essentially, in that form. So I hope that kind of covered a lot of the answers.
It absolutely does. And, again, I just want to say thank you so much for, giving us such candid and honest and open, answers to these questions, because it's like, even though your work involves, or some of your work rather, it's not everything that you do, but some of your work, like the photo shoots and things, do involve nudity. So people obviously, they end up seeing you naked. But, with this interview, we get to see you emotionally naked as well. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And, Shweva in chat says it clearly takes a ton of inner strength. Bravo. And he's absolutely right. It really does. Because, I personally, I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't, purely because I don't have that confidence, right? And I think, with what you do, you're breaking down barriers, not just for yourself, but other women too. And that's why Cardano women is just as important as well. So absolutely applaud you, Ali. Honestly, it's not a question. That's just a statement. It's something you should be absolutely proud of yourself for. So thanks again for sharing that with us. Priest, do you have any more questions just now, dude?
I was just getting a rundown of the diaper change while I was listening to the podcast and talking with you guys instead of doing my fatherly duties. So what Ali kind of always hints about is like she likes bringing like challenges to the things that make her comfortable and utilizing like the collaborative aspect of letting other people make her more comfortable and then challenging them after she's been made comfortable. And it's just kind of like interesting to see how like that cycle of comfort and then uncomfortability, like kind of just, you can take that from that aspect of what she does, right? But then you can take that and you can utilize it if you were in sales, right? They talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So it's just kind of interesting to see like the ways that and methodologies that things work for progression actually mirror what they are in business or in the endeavors of, your exploring your own comfortability in your expression of art. I just kind of like that you can kind of draw parallels, and it just makes me kind of like nerd out a little bit. Like, hey, look, that shit we learned actually is applicable. Imagine if they would have told us that, like, and not just been like, yo, look, here's some math, figure it out. So, Ali, what I would like to ask and what I want to know is, when you look at what you're going to do next, right? Like, you've clearly got a lot on your plate, right? Like, you're doing stuff with your Cardano women, you're doing stuff with your 9 to 5 right now, which, congratulations, that's amazing. I think everyone can congratulate you for working a 9 to 5 in Web3. What would you want to do next? What would you want to be your next challenge, right? Like, not necessarily something you think you'd actually do, but what would you want to challenge yourself with next?
Well, I think I kind of started doing that yesterday. I tried learning how to code. Because I wanted to do something specific on the Cardano Women website, and the program I used to be able to do that, the specific thing I wanted to do wouldn't work. So I reached out for some help and asked how to code. So I think that will be my next endeavor, to learn a little bit more of the more technical things in Web3 and referencing that 9 to 5 job. It is a Web3 job, so I'm still, working from home. I'm still very heavily involved in what I do in the field. It's not really much different than what I was doing with Cardano Women. I'm just, with an actual title outside of Cardano Women, helping people come in, whether it's project or individual, or I think heck, I went to my first Comic-Con this past weekend, and I could not turn off my brain from Web3 conversations. I would have general, conversations like this, getting to know a person and where are you from and why do you draw this way, or have you thought about a graphic novel? Have you thought about this? And then going into the conversation of like, Jehovah Witness moment. Have you heard of NFTs? Have you heard of this opportunity that you could do as an artist? And even then, like, not even just the artists, there was general people that in Web3, you don't have to be a creator to be a part of this community. You can be a lawyer. You can be a finance, individual, helping people navigate their bags, essentially. You can be a writer. In any form. You can be a technical writer. You can be an author. I mean, there's Book Token now, so you can write your books and be published there. You can still be a musician. You can be a mom. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I actually had unveiled recently, that when I came into this space early on, Web3, just 5 of us women actually engaged on Twitter with Cardano, that the men who were in this space were being supported by their women. So I was like, honestly, there weren't just 5 women when I first came into this space. There were women that I didn't know behind, these men, and they were doing really amazing jobs at supporting them, their partners, but still being in Web3, just in their own lane. I met a number of women actually as of lately that were like, that's his thing. I support him what he does. I somewhat understand it, but I don't want to dive into it quite yet. I just support him. And I'm like, you're still technically in Web3, just you're a cheerleader essentially for your partners.
I would say support structure. Support structure because like I'm also a stay-at-home mom essentially, right? Like I was a professional, and my wife makes more money than I do. So like, why would I be the one to work, right? Like that doesn't make sense. So, we're really lucky, but that's kind of the conversation. Is like I kind of refer to her lovingly as my VC because like she doesn't have any idea what the fuck is going on. She just gets to look at the spreadsheets, right? Because that's what she gets, and she understands. And she's like, okay, whatever, have fun.
I mean,
that's kind of what it is.
I think for me, I mean, my fiance is very supportive in pretty much everything I do, and she said to me one day, "You chat a lot of shit. You should monetize that." So here I am. Now, so that's what I do. But,
Andy, the key there is monetization, and we don't have any. So we're just still fucking around on the internet, big guy. Just want to be clear on that. So
it's early days.
Business they'd like to sponsor us with.
You got to start. Yeah, no, but that's the other thing. If anybody's interested, if you come on as a project and you obviously want to advertise, sorry, slight segue into the shill as we have to do here, head over to cryptolamp.live/partners and check that out. That would be absolutely awesome and support us. There's also a donate button, same web address /donate if you want to donate for this stream and get us a coffee. That would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
What I will say is our current water break that we're going to have to go on right now is sponsored by Doing the Right Thing. So if you think you should do the right thing, make sure you drink a little bit of water. And we're going to take like a 2-minute break here while we go ahead and do that. I would really, really want someone to sponsor our water breaks. That'd be pretty fucking fun, actually.
Yeah, so this, if you're not aware, Ali, you've kind of been, thrown into this. We've only got a few minutes left of the show anyway, but this is our water break. So if you want to grab yourself a glass of water or something, please do, if you don't have one available to you. And we are looking for, potential sponsors for this as well. So that'd be absolutely awesome. So how long's the? In fact, let me get my. See, I've got this different thing. This is my water, and this is in a bottle that has over 40,000 positive intentions on on it.
Aw.
Yeah, so that's my informed water bottle. So I'm gonna have a sip from that.
And so a little background into why we're having a water break, Allie, and this is going to be really fun, is there is a member of one of the leaderships of a chain that some people who listen to this podcast are part of. And in one of their most recent interviews, which was supposed to be an AMA, but like was literally not, there was such a pause between answers and questions that the host didn't know what to do and was just like, all right, well, we're going to take a water break. And there was just awkward silence afterwards. So we, as a community, have kind of just run with it because it kind of makes a person look foolish for being who we may or may not think is an idiot. But also, it's really good, right? Like, you should drink more water. Everyone should drink more water. That's something that I think most people probably don't do enough of. So it's like really something that we've talked about in our ending of the podcast of being inspirational, but also a little bit like some subtle memery because, without memery, how are we going to get to the difficult times?
Absolutely. I think that's how a lot of us are making it through the bear market right now is memes. And I definitely advocate for this message of drinking more water, even though I have Sunny D. I think that for us, when we're talking about Web3, there's a number of things that we don't realize that we don't do. You're on a Twitter space, I don't know how many times Jason actually gets me to get off of the laptop. I'm working and I'm focused on working, and then I get more ideas to continue more work. That you have to take those breaks. You need to take a break to drink water. You need to take a break to go walk outside and realize that you are still a human. Eat, sleep, all of those things. Granted, you'll probably reach a point where your body will just automatically shut down for you to sleep. But it's important to take those breaks, and even taking a mental health break. I think that's very, very important. So
absolutely, I think, I don't know if you've ever had this, Ali, but I've been terminally in a lot of projects in crypto, and now more in Web3 and NFTs, NFT art, that kind of thing. And I found myself even doing this show. There's been a couple of times where I've had to say, no, Andy, you need to go do your show, start your show, because you almost reach burnout, and it's not because you don't like what you do. I love what I do. I love speaking to different people, hearing different stories, but it's like you reach this kind of, I can't do it today,
I had that moment yesterday. I was getting very, very frustrated with technology. I think I made a joke and I said, is this wallet thing not working for me because I tried learning the HTML language, like the computer language or something. And then I had a few people who were like, maybe it's just your time to log off the computer for the day and then come back tomorrow refreshed. And absolutely, I've being honest with the mental health thing and the burnout, I have had many, many moments where I literally just sit there and I don't want to do anything else because either I question, should I continue doing this? Or even, am I on the right path? Do I have enough support? Is this what people really want? You want to see, want to do? And, eventually I come out and I'm like, okay, I'm awake now. I can actually keep doing it. And I go back and reflecting on why I started doing what I do. So that way I can keep doing it. And it's important. I think I saw someone posting the other day that she took a good month break off of Twitter, even though her project hadn't sold out yet. She said, I think that was the best thing I could ever do because I was able to spend time with my family and have real world moments again. I was realizing that I was missing out on so much that I had. I have a relationship with my mom and my dad and my brothers and sisters and actual people in the real world who have been my friends from high school or a number of places that are not in Web3. And I really enjoy the friends that I have in Web3, but I still need to nurture the relationships I have outside of that. So taking that month break off, I come back now and I'm more inspired than I was before because I'm not creating just to create things to make people happy in this space. I'm creating because I enjoy creating. and I have a different perspective now from outside of this space.
I have a question for you with that, and you can hear the baby being upset. She put herself on her stomach and now wants to be us to roll her on her back, even though she's perfectly capable. So the question I have with that is, like, you're talking about how you were going on with, God damn it, I lost it because the baby shit. Your comfortability, right? Like, and you were talking about, nope, you know what? Nope, I don't have it at all. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize.
No, it's okay, man. It's one of those things, you know. I get that all the time. It's in there, and you're like, I really need to ask that, and no, it's gone. It's somewhere in the ether. It's just disappeared. But no, what I was going to say, like in terms of like the burnout, the mental health, and things like that, that has been, whether people realize it or not, that's actually been a really big part of our show. You know, we talk about crypto, but we also talk about the real lives of people that are behind these projects, and you know. And again, thank you so much for coming on, sharing everything with us, and you know, just kind of showing people that human side of you. Because it's like when you're on Twitter and you see those, you know, those posts go up, it's like, oh, okay, that looks cool, but it's very cold, very inhuman sometimes, not all the time. But it's like, you know, you don't really get to know the person behind that, and that's why I think like things like this are really important.
Absolutely. Posts can be very much calculated. You know, you post a good morning post. If anything, you actually have that, you know, scheduled so that way you don't miss one and people, you know, realize that you're still alive. And then you have to be like, oh, well, maybe they think that it's programmed, so I should follow up with something else so that way they know that I'm actually alive and not just a bot or something in the space. And then, you know, you just, so many times can you misinterpret text? How many times do we say in caps, you know, something, and then it's like, I thought you were yelling at me. I was like, I was just excited, or I just had my caps lock button stuck on and I just hit the send button. Or, you know, Twitter is terrible and took away our autocorrect for things. So a lot of times you type something and then you realize that that makes no sense in comparison to what you actually mean. So these real moments, I think, and obviously thank you to Twitter Spaces that they gave us that voice to actually portray things, but you still don't see human to human, like the hand gestures or the facial expressions, and honestly just the real person behind the thing. Because even then, Twitter still has like the voice modular thing that you can like alter your voice to be something else. So
yeah,
absolutely they do. And I remember my question now. So Allie, I am 35. I know, you know, Andy's a little bit older than I am, not by much, but a little bit.
Hold on. I'm younger.
You're younger than I am?
Yeah.
Oh, you smexy bastard. All right, so whatever. You're probably close to my age, though, right? Like, because our life experience-wise, the way current events have happened, like, based on timings, you can't be too much younger than me.
Wait,
whatever. Anyway, who's
that question to? Was that for me or was that for Allie?
No, it's for you, but I know my real questions for Allie is like my expectation was that like when I grew up, there wasn't this interconnectivity with everyone, right? Like I grew up when AOL Instant Messenger was just coming out. Like the launch of AOL Instant Messenger was like, you know, the coolest thing. I remember when your away message and like your AIM profile thing was like the coolest thing because MySpace and Facebook didn't even exist yet. So when we're talking about taking mental health breaks, we're talking about taking a month off, right? Like when I recognize is like the people who grew up younger than me have always had this interconnectivity with their peers, even through the off time of school, right? Like when I was growing up until about, you know, 9th grade, which is, you know, like 14, maybe, I think I was, I don't know, something like that. The only time you got to interact with people was in person, right? We talk about this need for interactivity with person to person. I actually find it interesting that people who are younger than me that have had so much interconnectivity in their life are having this kind of issue. Whereas like I have 3 friends in real life. I see my 3 of them like once a month if I'm lucky because he's a kid, right? The other one lives halfway across the country. The other one lives like 400 miles away. So like, I don't know, I've kind of grew up with this expectation that I'm not going to always have these in real life interactions with people outside of like my immediate family. So I just think it's interesting that there's like, even with people who are within this space, right? Like our experiences are even through burnout are different, right? Because like you're getting burnt out from having these kind of conversations where it's like, I almost sort of want these conversations because the only in real life interactions I get are with like my wife and our 5-month-old daughter. And, and I have a group of friends from gamers forever. Like, and this is the way I would be able to have like, an interaction. So, it's just really interesting to see that. And like, that's why I was kind of interested in how old Andy was, is because like, did he grow up closer to where I was, where you had this long break every year where you didn't really get to see your friends, and then you went to like do something else and made other in real life friends, and you kind of like, that's how you grew your social circles. Where versus like, these people growing up with Web3 and all these Twitter spaces, it's like, these people are making a job of being in some of these spaces and hosting them, et cetera, and like other people are there just hanging out listening, and it's just like. That difference in experience just is interesting. And so, Andy, would you be so kind as to correct me on your age so that you can make me feel terrible for thinking you were older than I was? I just thought you were really handsome and turning into George Clooney. So you're like, I apologize for complimenting you indirectly.
I'm actually I'm 34, dude. So you're not that far away. I'm just very slightly younger than you. But the thing is that I don't like saying that, especially when it comes to Web3 NFTs and stuff like that, because a lot of the time you say, "Oh, I'm 34," and everybody's like, "You're old. Get out of here."
Yeah, I have.
Bro, we are old. We are old.
I had some kid tell me that I was like, well, because they were military as well, and asked when I was in, and I was explaining, some of the things, and they're like, "Oh, so you're old," and I was like, "Wait, I'm not supposed to be getting that statement at all. You're out." But no, I can resonate with a lot of what you guys had mentioned. A lot of times the friends that you had were forced friends because you went to school together. You saw each other every single day. You made those relationships, and they were great in the time. But at the same time, when you think about it, it was forced because you were in this place. You had to, make a friend or a relationship. I mean, you didn't really have to, but you would have been weird not to. And then, you took summer break. You go out and you go see your friends in your neighborhood or whatever camp or whatnot if you were fortunate enough. And then, when you graduated high school, I mean, my graduating class was 12 students. I talked to none of them. I haven't talked to any of them since.
Wait, you only had 12 students in your graduating class?
Yes, I did.
How many people were in your high school? Your private school? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh no, you're good. I went to private school, so it was K through 12, and my class slowly but surely got smaller as we got older. So like when I first started, it was probably like 50 students, and then some kids, the parents obviously couldn't afford, for them to keep going to school there, so they went to public school. They moved, and a variety of other reasons, and then eventually ended up to 12 students. It was 9 girls and 3 guys, not because it was an all-girl school or anything like that. It's just how the cards played, and it makes sense why none of us really talk to each other anymore, because
so interesting.
So many of us girls, but I still talk to some of my friends from when I went to public school. I mean, not really much. I mean, I texted one the other day because of Comic-Con, and I was like, "Hey, I know that you usually go to these things, but are you here now?" And she's like, "Actually, no, not this year." So I didn't get a chance to have that IRL moment with her like I thought I would. But everything else, my real friend moments are from Web3 as of lately, because I have just
it's okay. It
really
like there's and it's good though. Like it's a good thing that like there's this opportunity that for us to cultivate this. I just think that there's it's just interesting that like the difference in age within people within this space is like, I don't consider myself old, right? Like I know by definition I am, because like I've been playing a sport that I coach for longer than the people who are playing it I'm coaching have been alive.
I'm still a teenager. God damn it! I'm holding on to that youth. It's not going anywhere.
If I had hair, dude, yes, absolutely. But like, my hair started receding, and I just kind of my dad had.
You can have some of mine.
No, dude, my dad had a comb over, and I fucking hated it. I thought it looked like shit. So I was just like, nah, I told my wife, I was like, listen, when it goes bad enough that I'm just gonna get rid of it, I'm just gonna own it and just keep it like trimmed really short forever. I'm just gonna like be comfortable with my body being naked. And like, I know that's not necessarily the same thing as taking a naked picture, but like when you've had hair, and I had like really thick, luscious hair forever, and then like it's just not there anymore. Like I now understand like and can empathize more with people who deal with body issues, right? Like, because I very much got very upset with the fact that I was losing my hair, and I think a lot of guys can actually relate to that. But like the reason I got like so upset was because like I coached like fucking high school kids, and high school kids are assholes. And like as soon as my hair started going, and like my hat would come off, and they would be like, "Hey, coach, nice hairline." She's like, "God."
Ali, sorry for cutting you off, Priest. Ali, you know that you can send him a bill later for the therapy session. You know, if you want to.
No, I think it's interesting to be able to relate, right? Like, because guys, we don't have that, right? Like when you see your guy friends, yeah, we make fun of your friends for being fucking ugly, but like that's just because you always make fun of your friends for being fucking ugly, right? Like, or having a small dick. That's just what we do. But like, women are mean to each other. Objectively, I'm sorry, like I've seen it, especially when they're younger.
I can agree with that.
Especially when they're younger. They don't like, you guys are just can be very hurtful emotionally. Like men try to physically hurt each other, but women emotional damage. Excuse me?
I said it can be triggered by men, though. I would say. I mean, it's triggered by other women, but it's also triggered by men because it's whether a boy, like, in my standpoint, this boy that I liked at the time, we dated, and then next thing I know, he ended it because he wanted to date my best friend at the time. And I was rather frustrated. I was like, well, am I not good enough? And then it actually ended up breaking me and my friend at the time's relationship because it was all about this boy, comparing. And it was actually unfortunate that you should, I mean, in a relationship, you should always talk to your partner about previous relationships just so that way you know why they are the way they are. But you should never go into the context of conversation in comparing each other. You don't compare, your prior partner because they were better at this or better at that. You simply just say the things that qualities, I guess, that you enjoyed, that you think would be probably beneficial to this relationship that you're in, and honestly, even if
that's really, really important that you bring that up. And I think a lot of people these days tend to fall into that trap, and it's very dangerous, and it comes from a very unhealthy and toxic place, I think.
I mean, we get scared, like, what if they don't like this thing, or what if they think that I'm comparing them? And it's not that. It's just simply the qualities that, like, that could probably be the key that makes your relationship better. And honestly, like, I've been watching a lot of other videos, like most relationships end at 3, 5, 10, and 15 years because you just kind of lose this aspect of confrontation, and you don't know how to have a conversation and resolve conflict of things. And it's not even conflict. It's just honestly that you're two different human beings. You were raised either differently or very, very similar, that when you're together for that long, you just forget some things. You realize some things that might be better, and you discover yourself a little bit more in this process, that you should have this conversation with your partner. And even, I think this is important, in Web3 with teams and things like that. You meet a whole bunch of people, and you should talk about these things like, this is what I worked in before. Okay, so this is what your skills were, and this is how you worked. So that way, when you come into a project, this is how you can be managed. This is how you can thrive in a project and thrive in those relationships. And it goes into serious relationships and outside of that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. And it's I like to think that everybody is able to have that emotional maturity, but we all know that that's not completely true. But when you do find somebody that has that emotional maturity, my fiance still hasn't found somebody with that emotional maturity yet. She will one day. But once she gets there, it'll be great. But no, it's been absolutely an honor and an absolute pleasure having you on today, to really kind of talk talk about a lot of very sensitive, intimate topics and everything that you do. I am linking jpeg.store everywhere as well after this, so people can go and check that out as well. We do have a couple of questions, but first of all, I'm going to pick the winner of the NFT. Again, you can check out my Twitter for which NFT that is. It comes from the Blue is a Mood collection, which is it's under Jason's name on the store, right? Yeah.
Yes, so we have a lot of our work linked to the JPEG store, but a lot of it is also still on our websites. So I have mine, which is my first, middle, and last name.com, and then Jason Matias is his artwork. He has his IRL things and his NFTs, and then some of them are on JPEG Store.
Awesome. So I'll make sure that all of those links are appropriately put in YouTube, because that's where people can watch the replay for this later. So I'll make sure they're there. Let's go ahead and pick a winner. It is now closed, so if you're late to the party, I do apologize, but we're going to go pick a winner now, and it is 35 genre. Well done, dude. Congratulations. You're going to need, I believe, we can discuss this later in Discord, but you're going to, is it Taurus wallet? I think it is. I think that might be the right wallet.
Interesting. The best wallets that I can recommend for Cardano would be Eternal, which was previously known as CC Vault. That one has been the most popular. The one that is actually growing in popularity at the moment is Typhoon and Flint, but I can definitely give the links as well.
That's what I was looking for, was Typhoon, not Taurus. I don't know why I came up with Taurus. That was the one I was looking for. Thanks for that, Ali. Really appreciate it. So that's done. So Priest and I and Fizz, of course, usually ask a question. Priest, do you want to ask that question today?
Sure. Hey, Ali. If you could relate you and your project, not your work for your 9 to 5, but your projects that you work on, if you could relate them and tell us what fruit they are and why you would pick that fruit to represent you and your projects.
Last time I said I was not a fruitist because I was not discriminatory of any fruits. And I think that still stands true. But in the realms of this project, my personal things, I would say so many fruits in my head. Kind of want to say cherries because that's like the sexy fruit that's associated with that kind of stuff. That could work. I'll vote for cherries at this time, and the next time I'll probably
I appreciate that.
Fruit.
I couldn't actually remember if we asked you that question before, but now it's apparent that we did. But we'll take cherries. Yeah, why not? We'll go with cherries.
Listen, if every time the person comes on, if they're willing to answer that question every single time and throw it in our face that we didn't remember that we asked last time, I'm in. I think that's even more fun because they're just calling us out. I do apologize for not remembering that we asked you.
Oh, no, you're good. I think it's a great opportunity to reflect because, as time, people do change and people have different reflections or different ideas. And they're like, maybe that fruit would have been better. So, yeah, I'll probably just list them all off until we get to the end of all of the
there's a lot there's a lot of fruit, so as long as we're on air, just keep thinking a different fruit and we'll have content for days. A crypto show talking about fruit, that's what we're about.
Maybe you should get us out there the Fruit of the Loom, honestly.
Ooh, genius.
I just want to say one thing. I don't ever doubt your retail experience by the way that you just took me saying I did something bad and just made me feel good about it. I can absolutely tell you a retail manager. Thank you so much for customer servicing me right there. I'm going to go ahead and revel in that for like the rest of the day, that I had an actually good customer service experience with somebody who wasn't like hating their life right now. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So is there anything, because normally what we do, because we're going to close out now, we're going to have an end to the show. Unfortunately, people, I know people want to see more of Ali. So again, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. We usually end with some sort of inspirational quote. We get our usual sermon from the priest, of course, as we leave. So I don't know if you want me to ask Priest to go first, or if you want to go first, if you have something inspirational that you want to tell people before we close out for today.
Absolutely. Actually, in my other work, Cardano Women, we actually released some affirmations to bring some positivity to the space. And a lot of people were mentioning that they wanted that to reopen. So that will open again next month, September 12th, I think is the tentative date at the moment. But I will read one of those affirmations because I think that it's nice to have that in the space. I have it on my phone, so let me pull that up. It was my background, so I need to see it. And it might take me a minute. I apologize. I'll let Priest go first, and then we'll go.
No worries. Priest, do you have something ready?
Of course. On the aspiration or inspirational type stuff. I think the main thing I have is I try to always say is try to be self-reflective, right? Try to do the things that you need to do. And I think today looked at Ally was so awesome to share her her life story with us with her partner and how that kind of drives her forward. It kind of just made me feel like we need to appreciate our partners. So let's just if you have somebody in your life that you appreciate, if it's your friend, right, your BFF, or if it's a significant other, let them know how much you love them today or appreciate them. I think that'll be a good way to do it today.
Absolutely. Even just like, I think anyone could really thrive off of just some encouragement and positivity in this space, whether they're linked to you or not. I think that's one of my favorite things is just like saying hi and checking in on someone. Best conversation you can possibly have in this space. But let's see. We had 7 different affirmations that we released this last round. And I think, let's see. Which one do I want to choose? Because there were so many good ones.
That's entirely up to you.
I would say,
I was going to say, it's like every single day on Twitter, I'm seeing so many really awesome, inspirational quotes that people put forward. There's so many out there that are just awesome.
my favorite one that we released was a Twitter banner, actually, that was "Forever is composed of nows." And that one was actually by Emily Dixon. And I think that it still holds true. So, like, this space, it's not going to go away. So we can always enjoy what we have now. And so I really appreciate you guys inviting me back to get a chance to know me, get a chance to know my project and my partner, and a number of things. And I definitely look forward to coming back and giving friendly little updates about what I'm up to.
That'd be absolutely awesome, and I'm sure everybody can agree we'll absolutely be looking forward to you coming back on the show in the future. You also know, I believe you know Pumpkin Queen as well. Yeah, she's actually coming on the show soon. The schedule hasn't been released for that. I've agreed a time with her for her upcoming project, which is Toxica, which is going to be absolutely awesome. So yeah, we're going all in on Cardano as well. So if you can recommend anybody to us or let anybody know that we're here, and if they want to come on, please let them know, or kind of get us in contact with them. Let us know on Twitter or whatever, because we're branching out. We're going everywhere. We're going full crypto.
I like it. We'll definitely get you some sponsorships and everything as well. I think the biggest one that you probably should have on your calendar if you're going full Cardano and crypto is make sure we get a chance to see you in person, if possible, at CNFTCon in October.
Oh, that'd
or
be
Rare
interesting.
Bloom.
And where is that?
So CNFTCon will be in Vegas, and then the weekend after is going to be Rare Bloom in Denver. And I will be speaking at both of them.
When in October specifically? I'm not going to dox myself a lot, but I need to know that date because there's a couple of dates that are really important for me in October that I can't do anything on. But there are other ones I might be able to. So when is it?
So
I would love to go to Vegas.
Is 8th through the 9th. It's a weekend. And then the Rare Bloom, I believe, is the 14th and the 15th, but I don't entirely quote me on that. I can put the links down below so that way everyone else can go ahead and check it out. and they're welcome to take a look. I know that I have a discount code for Rare Bloom that I can share out for anyone who doesn't have tickets yet. And then CNFTCon, I think there's still some tickets available.
Awesome. That's absolutely brilliant. If you send out a tweet later, I'll retweet that so everybody can get the details on that. So yeah, time to say goodbye, everybody. I do apologize. Say goodbye, Ali. Say goodbye, Priest. We're going to leave now with the video, the promo video for the Crypto Lamb show, and then we will be out. So I do apologize. I don't mean to be rude, but I will drop this call. So take care. Thanks very much for coming on again. Catch you later. Thanks again. Bye-bye. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us here today. Let me get rid of the Discord thing. It doesn't need to be there. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I know I did. And yeah, we have a lot of awesome guests coming up. We are actually fully booked right up until mid-September right now. So we have consistent guests every single show coming up, with the next one on Friday, of course. Today is the 24th. So the next one is Borbin from When Lambo. That's who we have next on Friday at 14:30 UTC. Make sure you're there, and I will catch you later on. So thanks very much again. Oh, and so Rugless on Average is just letting me know after this show today, we are having Borbin doing an AMA on the Egoverse on Twitter Spaces. So if you want to catch Borbin before Friday for this show, then go out onto Twitter and check that out there. I will retweet that as well. So thanks again, everybody. Take care. Here is our intro/outro video.
Dude, it's all good. It's I feel refreshed, man. You know, water breaks are so necessary.
How about you give us an introduction and tell us what we have to look forward to today?
Juice, if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
A banana?
All right, so Rugless, if you could relate yourself or your project, whichever one you want to go with, to a fruit, which fruit would it be and why?
Okay, I'll go with the Egoverse and banana.
Why a banana, bro?
Because every time I speak with H1, it feels like I'm peeling one more piece of that banana, and it keeps getting better and better.
That sounds so
that
wrong.
Project is awesome. So every time you think you know it, you know everything about it, it just surprises you.
You're the kind of guy. You're the kind of guy that if you were sat in the same room, you'd be eating a banana and maintaining aggressive eye contact. That's the kind of
forcing the entire thing into his mouth at once.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we'll focus on this week is making sure that you stretch.
I don't know. I reckon a coconut, a green one.
A green coconut. Okay, we've had coconut before, but not a green one. Why?
I don't know, you got to go through the hard stuff before you can get to the good stuff. So
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think I would say probably a mango is like a fruit that you think is like pretty good, but when you actually bite into it, you're like, oh, this is delicious and amazing. It's like I'm all about trying to make things fun, make things enjoyable, and maybe a little bit surprising. Like, you know, your own mentality can make such a big difference in your life, your positivity and stuff. And I really, really enjoy being in spaces with all the people here, the other spaces that I've been in, and learning from everybody. So I get really excited, and I hope other people do too.